First, let's pay homage to the lineage gurus. Homage to the Venerable Monk Liaoming. Homage to Master Sakya Tsengkho. Homage to His Holiness the 16th Karmapa. And homage to Master Dukden Darji. Homage to the three jewels of the altar. Homage to the main deity of the group practice today, the greatly merciful and compassionate Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva who provides salvation from sufferings and calamities. So, Tanjang Gyatso, all Dharma masters, Dharma educators, Dharma teachers, Dharma lecturers, Dharma assistants, directors of temples and chapters, and disciples present here over the internet. And our participating VIPs today are Accountant to Buddha Foundation, Dharma Sister Teresa, and from France, the president of the Da Hong publisher, Dharma Sister Sandrun Fong, Dr. Ryan Zhang, Good evening, everyone. How do you do? The Jupiter News Weekly Taiwanese headquarters has started from November 2018 to be in charge, and now it's the 1-year anniversary, and we are grateful to all the benefactors, supporters for their support and help. And now we have started an online version to give back to our readers and supporters. Thank you for your support. It's better that we have provided such selfless to all readers all over the world. So now we officially provide the online website or an app. So who printed this? Anyone from the Tribhuvan News Weekly? No, it was transmitted by Master Lian O. because I don't understand about the internet. What is the moving website? So I understand about website, but could website moving around? Or does it mean that you can see it wherever you are? That you can read the True Buddha News Weekly? Because I don't quite know about the internet. So I am an obsolete. Because I have no computer, no cell phone, no tablets. I don't know how to get on the internet, but I've seen people get on the internet. It's like there's an icon with the with the compass, something that looks like a compass, and then when you tap on it, then you can get on the internet. Of course, that's very practical, that one day when you get on the plane you can just use your cell phone. You go to the bank and you just tap on your cell phone, or you get money by tapping on the cell phone. Whatever you do with the cell phone. And I'm thinking, at those times, what can I do? How can I live? So if we just swipe our phone to get on board the plane, and I don't have a phone, what should I do? If everything is incorporated into the phone, how can I live then? That's the problem. So I should blame it on Master Lian He, because one time, many years ago, I asked him, Master Lian He, should I learn computer? And Master Lian He said, no need. Grandmaster, no need. It's okay that we help you, but when we get on the plane, nobody, there's not about people helping or getting cash, depositing cash. You can't be helped by other people or get on the transportation or buy tickets, etc. But luckily, I only live a few short years more, and the most important thing as long as we don't need a phone to get to the Western paradise, that's fine. That's good enough. If you want to get to the Western paradise, the pure land of utmost bliss, and you need to swipe your phone. Wow, the technology is amazing. I just read about the white robe Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva, and this picture here doesn't look like to be drawn by a human being. It looks like it's made by a computer. So who did this? Your brother? By hand? Computerized. Computer. When I saw it, if this had been painted by hand, by a human, that would be incredible. I heard that nowadays many painters use computer to do their drawings or paintings. I also paint, but I don't know anything about computer, so I do paint by hand. Of course you can combine in computer. I heard if you use computer to write, that's also very fast, either by typing or just by talking. Then the words would be out, so that would be fast to write. But Grandmaster would be holding a pen and writing on a piece of paper and writing it one by one. And yet people just use voice recognition in front of the computer, and the writings will be produced. So my rhythm is slightly slow. I still use a pen, and every morning I would write the character one by one. So that's the speed is quite slow. And people use voice, and then if there's a mistake, then you can correct it right away on the computer. But for Grandmaster, if something is wrong, then I have to mark it, to use a circle to mark it and then correct it, and by writing next to it. So technology is amazing. Things that we did not even think of before. Like the information. So like here, using the computer, then you can chat face to face. You can communicate and you can see each other. This is something that did not exist in the past. And even the deceased, and you can use technology to create an image of a deceased person and then show it on the stage. This is something that Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva never thought of before. So Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva appears wherever you pray to her, and she would appear. The same with the technology nowadays. Even when you're at a faraway place, and if you want to see someone, that person will appear in your phone. So that's the transcendent power of a bodhisattva. It's the same. So in the future, who knows, maybe a human being can transform to become eons of them. How many of them? In the Universal Gate Sutra it was mentioned. The Lotus Sutra. There are 32 transformation bodies who give Dharma teachings based on sentient beings' needs. And she can transform to become Buddhas, Pratyeka Buddhas, Shravakas, Brahmas, Indras, Mahaswaras, Bisamon, elders, laity, Brahmas, Bhiksu, Bhikshuni, Upasaka, Upasaki, youth, boy, youth, girl, dragons, yaksa, asuras, kalana, chindana, moloka, humans, non-humans, herukas, etc. She can transform to become many, innumerable of them. So based on the requests, then she can transform to become whatever. And Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva has the closest affinity with sentient beings. Amitabha Buddha and Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva has the closest affinity with sentient beings in the Saha world. When Buddhists greet each other, they would say Namo Amitabha or Namo Kwansin Bodhisattva. When we were in Taiwan, each household and family would worship Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva. She delivers the most sentient beings. When the North Vietnam retreated, many people from Saigon went to Thuận. And by boat, they left the city of Vung Tau to become refugees to go all over the world. And many of them said that they were just floating aimlessly in the ocean, and they all chanted the Namo Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva, who provides salvation from suffering and calamities. Many people chanted her name, and Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva manifested many transcendent power and saved many refugees, the Vietnamese refugees. The Bodhisattva is truly compassionate, and the one that my mother often chanted is the Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva's Universal Gate Sutra. She always chanted once a day at least. And the same with True Buddha School. The sutra that Grandmaster first obtained was the Hiking Avalokitesvara Sutra. which was given to me by the Venerable Si Huiling from Taichung. That was the Hiking Guan Yin Sutra, or Hiking Avalokitesvara Sutra. Ever since I opened it, I chanted it all the time. Until today, I also teach you to chant Hiking Avalokitesvara Sutra. So now we have millions of people chanting the Hiking Avalokitesvara Sutra. And Grandmaster, up till today, Grandmaster always chants the Hiking Avalokitesvara Sutra every single day. Never miss a day. Never miss a day. So I don't count for 1,000 times or not. I don't count it, but I just chant it every day. Every single day I would chant the Hiking Avalokitesvara Sutra to pray to Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva. So, to become the closest Bodhisattva to me. And according to my observation, my mother was the peace bird of Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva. I mean, she was the reincarnation of the peace bird of Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva. And then later she practiced Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva. And I personally had the vision that she got onto the Dharma throne of Amitabha Buddha and then disappeared in front of me. And I personally took my mother to fly across the mountains of knives and arrows. So I personally had visioned that, had seen that, perhaps because my mother still had some karma. So I personally took her to fly through the torrents of knives and arrows and the 3 lower realms, and I get her to the heavenly realms. However, when she was already in the heavenly realms, she was still looking and looking and looking for what? For her money. Because in her later years, she invested in the man-made crystals, and she spent about 20 million NT dollars, Taiwanese dollars, to invest in the manufacturing of the man-made crystal. So, but the company has not produced anything, so she didn't get anything back. And then also quite a bit of her money was being borrowed by my younger sister, so she could not let go of that. So she was still looking for her money, $20 million, 20 million NT dollars. So Amitabha Buddha was very compassionate. I saw this personally with my own eyes. Amitabha Buddha seated on the precious Dharma throne and then asked my mother, "What are you looking for?" And my mother answered, "My money. I'm looking for my money." And Amitabha told her, "So look at the diamonds on my Dharma throne. It's really huge. Each one of them is this big. And on that golden throne, it was embellished with diamonds. So my golden throne with the diamonds, is that more valuable than your money? So my mother answered, of course it's more valuable than my money, more than my money. Just one diamond would be worth a lot more. So Amitabha Buddha said, okay, then I'll give you my Dharma throne. I'll come down from it and I'll let you have it. So my mother got onto the Dharma throne and she thought, this is mine now. And then she disappeared gradually. And then she went to the place of the South, Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva of the South Sea, the Loka. So transforms any which way. Of course, I have told this story before too, so I repeat it here. I repeated it here because many people may not have heard it, and that's the truth. So does Grandmaster have any attachment to money? Yes, I still have some attachment to money. What kind of attachment? I only know to save money but not to spend money. That's the problem. I always save but never spend. But in the future, will I be obsessed with this money? No. I have said it before, that in the future the money that Grandmaster saves will be only for one charity, one kind of charity, which is for any patients who are going to the emergency for treatment but they don't have money with them. I want to sign a contract with the hospitals to have an agreement so that they can take the money that I save, especially only for this. I only do this one type of charity. Only people who are sick but have no money and no ways to pay for their treatments, they can apply for my charity, apply for to get reimbursement from my foundation or charity to pay for their medical treatments. Why do I want to do this? Because the most suffering for human beings is being sick. When you're sick, you feel tormented in body and mind, extreme torment. In body and mind. If you have money, you can stay at the better room, find better doctors to get better medicines. But those without money, then Grandmaster will help pay for them. And I would affiliate with several hospitals and have agreement that they can get the money from Grandmaster's bank account to pay for their treatments. I would like to do this kind of charity. I have discussed it with Sumu before, and I have said this before because Grandmaster had experienced that the most suffering in this world is being sick. Being sick is truly the most suffering. Sometimes a good family, because of the torment of sickness, the family is broken. Or a human being was fine, but because of being sick, he's gone. Therefore, health is extremely important. Only with good health you can cultivate spiritually. Otherwise, on your sick bed, how can you cultivate the whole set of tantric Dharma practice? Or if your consciousness is, or if you don't have clear consciousness anymore, or you're on a sick bed, it's impossible for you to practice. Therefore, health is most important. However, sickness and old age are always together. For elderly people, it's very normal to be sick. Even when you're a healthy person, as you age, the sicknesses will come. So old age and sickness are often together. So therefore, being old is also suffering. When I was young, I was very good at playing on the gymnastics, the single bar, double bar, etc. One time, I thought I was still young. I got on the double bars and my hands started to shake, and I thought, oh no, no good. Because it's been many years since I got on the double bars, and when I got on it and I wanted to swing, and I felt like maybe if I do that I would fall. So no, I had many stances for the double bars before, and I can just swing my both legs and then got on the ground. Like I would do this, I would lift up my chest, move my legs, and then I would be able to move it, and I can turn, and then both of my legs would be on the double bars. There are many stances to this gymnastics when you see it on the Olympic, right? And the same with the single bar, with the big wheel, and you tie your wrists with the rope so that you didn't get expelled. And for the small wheel, the single bar is behind you, and you use your elbows to hold on it, and then you revolve around it. In the past, when I hold on the single bar, and then I protrude my chest, and then I would climb up above the single bar, and then I would swing a little bit, and then I would stand on the single bar. and then with one leg I would hold on the bar, and then I could revolve around the bar. I could do a lot of those stances before, but now, no, I can't anymore. When I was in elementary school and I was pulling on the single bar, and all the students can do 10, but Grandmaster can do over 20. And then the bamboo pole, every day after school, I would climb to the top and then tap on it and then slide back down. That's what we did, but nowadays, can we do it again? Once I told the Venerable Ming Yi, please get on the single bar and do something, and I'll give you 10,000 US dollars. Can you do it? No, not even once. If you give me $10,000 to do once, then I'll do it right away. I can still do it. Hold on the single bar and get up to hold myself up. I can still do that much. I still do push-ups 30 times each time, every day. And in the past I also did set-ups many times. So old age and sickness are really very tormenting. It's quite cruel. I still have muscle even now. When I was 70 years old, that was a photo of my muscle. I took off my clothes to show my chest muscles. That was 70 years old. But even nowadays, I still train. I had six packs in the past, but now I have three packs. So one small one, two big ones, and now I want to turn it into 4 packs. So in my painting room, the Reverend Lee bought me an equipment that you extended the legs and then to go up and down and up and down. So I'm still training on. Good thing that Grandmaster has cultivated spiritually. That's why he is a non-leaking Siddha, Mahasiddha. So I'm slightly different than most people. But everybody, please pay attention to your health in order to cultivate spiritually, in order to train in Dharma practice. Otherwise, it would be quite difficult to practice. Use visualization, mantra chanting. I apologize, the sound quality is very bad tonight. That was about Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva. Now let's continue to talk about Lamdre. As also on the faultlessness itself, The most important key point is to maintain at will all the yogic sensation or spiritual experiences by not turning on changing the faultlessness. If the body has not reached the dual execution of bliss and emptiness, lose the practice, strive by means of this ability, increase the enjoyment of the sensation, or follow one of the secret dual execution. This can give rise to the most victorious bliss and emptiness, thereby to uproot the 8 poisons of contemplation. Thus, although the spiritual experience will go according to our wish and be maintained accordingly, it still cannot rise to faultlessness when the poison of contemplation gives rise to hindrances due to knowledge, because one knows too much, and through diligent practice, the dual execution of existence and emptiness is created. First, maintain the disposition amidst the latter attainment like a reflection in a mirror, and later, slightly relax the diligent practice and conscious effort, and do a chain of maintaining the practice, then it would be impossible not to rise to faultlessness. If one recognizes that it has not reached the dual execution of lucidity and emptiness, stay at an elevated abode in the designated body postures with the eyes properly half closed. The so-called lucidity is the natural appearance of the mind. Emptiness is the self-nature of the mind. No contriving is the dispositional nature of the mind. If the comprehension of the non-dual dual execution of skillful means and wisdom can be maintained at will, then it would be impossible not to give rise to the faultlessness of lucidity and emptiness. So this piece of excerpt is still explaining what we have talked about before, the dual execution of existence and emptiness, and then the dual execution of lucidity and emptiness, and the dual execution of bliss and emptiness. So what is the dual execution of existence and emptiness? Last time I have talked about it. When you focus on one thing to make it appear or appearance, like when we focus on this Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva, and Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva appears, so in our minds there is Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva, that's called the existence. And then Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva disappears when nothing exists, that's called the emptiness. So at that time, existence was the Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva, and emptiness is no thought. So you start with that. In order to enter into meditation, you have to do that. You have to focus on one thing first to make the mind not moves. So, but when the mind moves or the thoughts are running, that's a fault. So the only existence is Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva. And when Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva disappears, that's emptiness. If you have other thoughts or another thought appearing, that would be a fault. So that's the dual execution of existence and emptiness. And the next one is the dual execution of lucidity and emptiness. And lucidity is the clear light radiance. So these two things. So, like Grandmaster is focusing on the point of a lit incense, the red dot. So that's the red light will appear right in front of you. When this light appears, and then light disappears, that becomes emptiness. When a thought is appearing, then you're focusing your mind again on the red light. So this is called the dual execution of lucidity or clear light radiance and emptiness. The next one is the dual execution of bliss and emptiness. When in meditation, you're focusing on your vital energy, on your central channel. The qi is moving inside your central channel. You will experience a kind of bliss because the qi is rubbing against the channels, the central channels, or the inner fire or the light drops are rubbing against your inner central channel. That would generate bliss, and you're focusing on the bliss. And when bliss disappears, that would be emptiness. When there's a thought appearing, then you're focusing on the bliss again. This is called the dual execution of bliss and emptiness. So here it talks about 3 kinds of dual executions. That's the meaning. And it especially that the lucidity or clear light radiance is the natural appearance of the mind. This is talking about the mind, not the heart. So the lucidity is the and you're not consciously intending it or contriving it. That's the dispositional nature of the mind. And emptiness is the self-nature of the mind. And the no contriving is the dispositional nature of the mind. If the comprehension of the non-dual, dual execution of skillful means and wisdom can be maintained at will, it would be impossible not to give rise to faultlessness. Typically, in Tantrayana, the male represents skillful means and the woman represents wisdom. So that's a kind of dual execution. So the man, yogi, is a skillful means, and the woman, yogini, represents wisdom. If your body has not reached the dual execution of bliss and emptiness, lose the practice, strive by means of this affinity, increase the enjoyment of the sensation, or follow one of the secret dual execution. This can give rise to the most victorious bliss and emptiness, thereby to uproot the 8 poisons of contemplation. So, using the dual execution of bliss and emptiness, you can uproot the 8 kinds of poisons. And what are the 8 kinds of poisons? And the most important the two most important poisons are greed, anger, delusion, doubt, and arrogance or pride. These are 5 poisons. And on top of them, drowsiness, falling asleep, and the other one is anxiety or nervousness. That's 7 kinds of poisons. And one more, I don't remember. And what is contemplation, the 8 poisons of contemplation? Contemplation is meditation. And Grandmaster have talked a lot about methods for meditating, how to enter into meditation. you need to use many different methods in order to be able to enter into meditation. Methods of spiritual cultivation. And Chanting in Chinese meaning it's stable, stability, that the thoughts are not moving anymore. That's called the stability or meditative stability. When you can be stabilized on one thing, that's called single-mindedness. And in the state of single-mindedness, then you would be able to develop your wisdom. So wisdom and meditation are mutually. From the meditation or meditative stability, you generate wisdom, and wisdom can generate meditative stability. So meditation is a kind of skillful means, and wisdom is the same as the mind. It's the same as a kind of mind. We can say it that way. If in your meditation you don't have many faults, like on the faultlessness itself, if you don't change it, the key point is to maintain it at will. So which means you don't have to do anything intentionally. So what that means is you don't need to create a thought to move your mind. You don't need to do anything. We often do that to pretentious. Like when you think someone's looking, then you pretend you're meditating, but you have used your mind that way. But you can be in meditation at any time, at any place. So the Buddha once said, if you truly have attainments, then you are in meditation at any time, at any place. This is a joke now. There was on the company party, there was a rock and roll stage show, and the soul, yeah, that his movement is even more exaggerated than a medium, and her face looks very mean and cruel, and finally he threw the electric guitar to the ground, and it was really quite a sensation. But that was during a competition, and then they all asked him to play it one more time, and he answered, no way, because it was the execution from the electrocuted from the electric guitar. So that was just an electric shock from the electric guitar. So if that show, he gave a show based on his own intention, that was at will, but actually that show was because of the electric shock from the electric guitar. So that's a difference between the two. Actually, the meditation to the ultimate is very, very natural. It's not like, oh, I have to get into meditation now. No, you just very relaxed and very easy, and you fold your legs, and then you focus on one thing and you just follow it, and it just happens naturally. That would be best according to what's written here. Or typically speaking, you focus on your bliss, the bliss that you experience during meditation. You focus on that. Then you just let it go naturally. So this is, so all the yogic sensation or spiritual experiences just maintain at will, or we can say it just let, if all the sensation are very natural and very agreeable and smooth, that be very important. Long ago, there was a fox who trained in spiritual cultivation for 100 years, and she became a fox spirit. And long ago, there was a chicken who practiced diligently for 100 years, and eventually it became a chicken essence, because in Chinese, spirit and essence sounds the same. Of course, the fox spirit is different from the chicken essence, because the chicken essence is to be drunk by people, to be taken in, and fox spirit is truly something that's being reached through spiritual cultivation. So we're talking about a fox who really cultivates spiritually, that become a fox spirit. So they're different. So in Lamdre, they're talking about meditation back and forth and back and forth. One is talking about the real meditation, and the other one is different. So you need to be able to discern, to differentiate them. The kid just ignores his mom calling out to him. It's not that he lacks concentration, but it's because in his mind he always remembered that mom's calling out is definitely not a good thing. This is also something that Hui Jin would like to say. Hui Jin said, the air must be very nutritious, otherwise, how come just by breathing I get fat? Master Hui Jin often said that, I already eat so little, how come I'm still so fat? It's not that there's nutrition in the air, but she loves to snack anytime she has a little time at the proper meals, she eats very little. Like in the past, when people make offering for dinner to Grandmaster, she would just order a bowl of soup or noodle, tantan noodle, but she forgets that every time when she's working, she's always popping food onto her mouth. So it's not that the air makes you fat, it's because she eats food. And every time we talk about Hui Jun, she would point at that person. Lien. She would always point to that venerable, hey, he's quote unquote to Hui Jun. But I have no interest in Lien Ying, the monk, the young monk Lien Ying. So, in our spiritual cultivation, we should really have something to show that you really understand something. Grandmaster is like this because Grandmaster has practiced it himself, these practices. And first, I have practiced them myself, and second, I have these hidden treasures, the terma inside my brain, inside my mind. Guru Padmasambhava hid some of the terma inside my mind. So that's why when I read Lamdre, immediately I understand what Virupa was talking about. That's why I understood. If I didn't have this terma from Guru Padmasambhava and you have not practiced it yourself, it would be impossible for you to expound on it in details. The guests came to home and Mom told Xiao Ming softly in his ear, please tell your dad this. And when Dad saw that, he said, well, you have to speak loudly. It's very impolite to speak in someone's ears softly. And so Xiao Ming spoke loudly. Mom said, don't let the guests eat at home, because we don't have enough food at home. Because they cook only a little bit of rice, not enough for the guests. So there's Buddha Dharma in here. So therefore, you have to have something that you can give to sentient beings anything, anytime. So if you don't have that something to show, that understanding, that's impossible for you to sit here to teach. There's a young man that told the great master, Master, my girlfriend broke up with me and I feel really upset. I felt that the whole world has abandoned me. And the master told him very strictly, come on, lift up your spirit and wake up. Don't be such a fool. Let me tell you, the world has never needed you. Listen carefully. So what the master said was true. There was another joke the other time. Someone asked the master, "Master, my girlfriend and I broke up and I felt really upset and I felt that the whole world has abandoned me." And the master said and held his hand and took him outside the temple to look at the birds flying in the sky. And the young man asked, and said, "Oh, I understand. I should be like the birds, flying freely." And the master said, "Wrong. What business of mine is that?" That's not wrong, right? Today some people said, I don't get along with all the people. I don't want to practice anymore. I'm leaving to Buddhist school. And you think that I would beg for you to come back. Please come back. Please come back soon. Hey, it's none of my business. Spiritual cultivation is the business of each individual. It's you yourself that want to give up going to the Western paradise. That's your own problem. So you disadvantage yourself. It's none of my business, right? Because I cannot take you to the Western paradise, but I just guide you on the spiritual path. But it's up to you if you want to walk it or not. At least you should cultivate spiritually the best you can. Someone said, "Grandmaster, in the future, when I'm about to leave the world, you have to guide me." Well, that's right too. It depends on the merits of your spiritual cultivation. How much merits and resources have you accumulated? If you do have enough of it, then naturally I would be able to guide you. But if you don't have enough merits and resources from your spiritual cultivation, how can I take you? It's impossible for me to take you. In Tantrayana, there's also the guidance during Bardo state. So if at that time I advise you and to teach you to chant a few mantras, then you can still go to the Pure Land. But you still have to have enough merits. If your karma is so heavy that it drags you down, it's impossible. You're too heavy. It's impossible for me to carry you. So many people told Grandmaster, "I don't want to cultivate anymore. No more spiritual commitment. I've left to Buddhist school. I will not practice anymore." And she thought, or they thought, that maybe Grandmaster would drag her back and beg her, "No, to stay in Buddhist school. No, go if you want, as you please. I'll take you to watch the birds flying in the sky." In Chinese, meaning none of my business, look, the birds. It's a slang joke. We should forget about lots of things. A human life is just about a piece of paper. That's true. When you're born, you need a piece of paper. When you graduate, there's also a piece of paper, the certificate, the diploma. And when you get married, there's also a piece of paper, the marriage certificate. When you become an official, also a piece of paper. The recognition. Money too is a piece of paper. Honor or prize, also a piece of paper. And when you go see a doctor, you also need to fill a form, a piece of paper. Or when you die, it's also a piece of paper on your death certificate. When you have seen through all these pieces of papers, then you burn them away, just forget them all, in order to be able to be reborn into the Pure Land, to the better realm. Really, nothing. Everything is useless. Although Grandmaster still has some attachment to the money, I have saved those money, but eventually it will be left for the sentient beings. I will not worry about them. What time is it? 9? Or 10? The last joke. The other day, with some classmates, we went out and we need 2 taxis. So I was in the taxi in the front to guide. And when I got on the taxi, I told the driver, there's some people following us behind. And after we drove for a while, the taxi behind us disappeared. It was out of sight. So I asked the driver, so what happened to the taxi that were following us? Oh, I already get rid of it. So that's a misunderstanding. The driver thought somebody was following us and we have to get rid of it. But actually, she wanted to make sure that they follow us. So when you don't speak clearly, that's what happened. So when we study Lamdre or study Buddha Dharma, it's all the same thing. You definitely cannot have misunderstanding or miscomprehension. Someone told me that, or many people told me that they have gained enlightenment. Many people told me. And yet, they're still so attached to what? He's very attached to his own enlightenment. And he said, this time I asked Grandmaster to be able to get a higher position. Many people beg or ask Grandmaster to give them a higher position. So this is called attachment. If you have been enlightened, then you would be like this meditation. Then you just let things be. Whether you have it or not, it's fine. Only then it is called an enlightenment. Either one is fine. Whether you gain or not, it's fine. But if you are so attached to having that position, then that's not an enlightenment. You just do your best, and as the result, you don't care. Then that would be an enlightenment. So that's a fine line between enlightenment and not an enlightenment. So please don't misunderstand or don't get it wrong. Someone said, I'm enlightened already, but I made a resolution never to salvage or deliver sentient beings. So if you have gained enlightenment and you don't want to help sentient beings, it's not a matter of you want or not. But if you have the heart of a bodhisattva, you just do it naturally, according to your affinity. If everything goes naturally, only then would be enlightenment. The same thing with meditation. You just let it flow naturally. You cannot say that I have to enter into meditation. Then that would be an attachment. But you have to follow the procedure, follow the method. Just do it very easily, with no contriving, no hardships. Although there are many faults occurring, but you just let it be. And you're always balanced between the tightness and the looseness. Only then that would be the realm of the enlightenment. It's fine if you get it. It's fine if you don't get it. It's nothing to attain and nothing to lose. Therefore, Manjushri Bodhisattva said, Sariputra asked Manjushri, what is the realm of nirvana? And Manjushri Bodhisattva told Sariputra, nirvana is just a term. Amidst nirvana, you are not aware of nirvana. So, that was spoken by Manjushri Bodhisattva. So Sariputra highly admired Manjushri Bodhisattva, because only Manjushri Bodhisattva is able to say that entering into nirvana is no nirvana. Because there is no nirvana, therefore it is nirvana. So this is like the Diamond Sutra, the highest realm inside the Diamond Sutra. Therefore, for a lot of things, don't think that you're enlightened already, but your behavior, your conduct does not comply to enlightenment at all. There was someone who claimed that she's enlightened. She pressed Master De Hui to write a piece of paper, a letter of invitation for her to come to America. She was very adamant about it. She wanted it and wanted it, had to have it, because she had to have the religious visa to America. And Master De Hui said, that's not how it is done nowadays. It has changed. But she was very adamant and had to have it. She had to have it. So what kind of enlightenment is that? What a joke. We should have brought her to watch the birds in the sky. It's none of De Hui's business. But finally I told him, just give it to her, whatever she wanted. So sure enough, she wrote a letter of invitation for her to come to the Seattle temple, and then she took that to get the visa, and the US immigration decided to ban her to enter into United States forever. And then she blamed it again on us. that she wanted to get the religion's visa and blame that the Mak Hui give her that letter and blame this and blame that and all. She should have blamed herself. Whom else? She was glaring and very forceful to get what she wanted. You know, how could that be enlightenment? Because enlightenment is about following the wishes of sentient beings. There's no forcefulness at all. It doesn't matter whether you get it or not get it. That forcefulness, forcing anyone, is one of the worst fault.